Is it working?
Let me.
No, because the other stream is another thing.
It is working. The new one is working.
Okay, give me the middle link.
I'm copying.
Sword's got has it. Don't worry about it. You can just look at OBS. Just look at OBS. So you're fine.
Okay. Everything.
Live?
We live?
We are live. Just need to post links.
Post the links.
Technical difficulties, audience.
Indeed. To those wondering why we have two stream videos, it's because the first one, OBS crashed for some reason, so we had to basically restart it.
Like how on the link it's my my channel icon.
Yeah, that's gonna freak some people out.
Hi. And he looks like an orc, doesn't he?
He does.
Yes. Either that or some kind of weird demon.
The Yizhan Vong were basically designed to look like orcs. Like they literally have black blood.
To me, he looks like a certain type of this Irish monster. I think it was called a revenant, or it's kind of skeletal.
Revenant.
Yeah.
Alright, Koopa, all the links have been shared.
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay, let's
Alright.
get started then.
Hello, everybody. This is the Boiz.
Wow.
Wow! And we're about to go on a war! Anyway. We are here answering a Star Wars questionnaire. I have been a fan of Star Wars forever, and I've been watching YouTubers about it, of course. And many of these people did this questionnaire, and, well, it's like, you know what, I want to bring my friends along and do this. So, I am Squasher, and why don't you all introduce yourselves?
Well, I am Tracy Krieg. To quite a few of the audience members, you probably know me from Unification as one of the voice actors for that. I am been friends with Squasher for a very long time, and well, I'm helping to set up the stream here.
Yeah, I much appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem, no problem.
What about the other
Everyone-
two gentlemen
everyone-
here?
Well, if you'd let me introduce myself. Hey everyone, it's the Koopa Man. I am here because I am procrastinating doing more videos. They will come very soon.
You are a lazy, lazy, lazy Koopa.
Yes, I am. It's part of winter information. I'm basically asleep right now.
As
And-
for me, I am known solely as the Swordsman. I'm here as a favor, and basically to offer my unique perspective.
Yes. He and I are Star Wars fans of very different persuasions. Almost like Catholics and Protestants. Anyway,
Basically, we have a George loyalist, a Legends loyalist, me in the middle, and Koopa who's...
Doesn't really give a shit one way or the other.
yeah, basically.
I only like things that are good. If I think something is good, I think it is good.
so basically what we have is Catholic, two Protestants, and a non-denominational Star Wars fan. Anyway, so let's, without any further ado, let's get this show on the road. For the first question, it's in the description. You can answer along as well, audience. First question is, Jedi or Sith? Which of the two would you be if you had to pick? I guess I'll go first. Oh, you want to go first?
Yep, simply because it's no contest.
Okay.
Jedi.
All right. Why?
They follow the Force. They are the good guys. They have the cooler stuff.
That's debatable.
Temple Guard beats any armor Vader could potentially have any day of the week.
You do realize all of the Sith from the Old Republic period basically wear outfits that are identical to the Temple Guards, right?
But Tracer, they wear, the Temple Guard wears white.
And the Sith only are limited to very, very dark colors. You can't have any bright colors whatsoever.
So what he's saying is, no, we probably shouldn't. Probably should not make that joke.
I am from Krieg. Dark colors are all that we wear. There is nothing wrong. The good shades of blue, grey, black, and brown.
You can't even have blue.
That entirely depends on which comic. Oh, Star Wars, you read. The old school Marvel comics had Vader in blue.
Yeah, the old school Marvel comics are wild. Anyway.
Okay,
I do.
Flying mountain.
I do wonder, was it really blue, or was it black as blue? Because back then,
the idea is that it's like the old Batman comics where you have black, then you have different shades, and blue was used as a shade of black. Which, yeah, it's a very common artistic method. I've actually done it just because, depending on the lighting, black can shade into blue, depending on light sources that reflect on it.
Mm-hmm. Alright, so that's Swords' answer. Jedi. Makes sense. Never would have guessed. I never would have. I guess I'll go next, and then Koopa, and then Tracer. Jedi. I mean, they're the least destructive order of the two. Look at their history. It's no contest. Plus, I like more colors than just red. So, so yeah. They may not have the cool powers, but they certainly... It's much better than being super powerful and all alone all the goddamn time, so,
Look, when you say cooler powers, here's the thing, though. For all the Sith lightning bullshit that we've seen in Star Wars, none of it is nearly as cool as Satele Shan grabbing a lightsaber with her bare hands.
True.
And even then, the Jedi have their own equivalent to a lot of Sith powers, like electric judgment and Blokan.
And then, of course, Kyle Katarn is Kyle Katarn. He can use Force Lightning without any issue. Because the dark...
Star Wars Questionare. These are our version of Slime Marbo.
Yeah, the dark side knows its place when it's dealing with Kyle Katarn. Anyway. Koopa.
Well, considering that I made a video guest starring Tracer about how the Sith are leftists, I think you can imagine what my answer will be.
Yeah, I can picture it.
I'm not a leftist. Therefore, I'm not Sith. I'm not Sargon of Akkad.
Yeah, fair enough. And Tracer?
I would be, well, like everyone else, a Jedi, but specifically a member of the new Jedi Order from Legends. This is the order that Luke establishes after Endor, where basically all the cool characters were a part of. As for why I'd be a Jedi, well, I'm a goody two-shoes. I'm a very angry goody two-shoes, but they fit my morals.
Mm-hmm.
I like to help people. I like to be responsible. I'm dutiful, yada yada yada, all that such stuff. That being said, be a terrible Jedi. Absolutely be terrible. I have a temper the size of a mountain. And guarantee, if you gave me superpowers, I'm probably going to pick somebody up, flip them upside down, and hang them over there for like 30 minutes. Just because they annoyed me.
Fair enough.
I would have so many disciplinarian notes attached to me that they would probably have to stick Mace Windu on my ass all day.
Well, it wouldn't be Mace Windu in the New Jedi Order. It would be, probably Kyle.
That actually works out, and you'll find out why later.
Yeah. To add on to your point, for me, it would be the Jedi Order of either the ancient times before Exar Kun's whole kerfuffle, or the New Jedi Order under Luke as well. Because those are the most... This was before the prequels came in and set the Jedi as the monastic monks they are now. And,
Thanks, George.
Yeah, thanks, George.
I mean, what do you expect? They're basically a combination of Buddhist and Temple Knights, Templar Knights.
Yeah, but that wasn't what we were presented in the original trilogy, which... you kind of get the impression that they were somewhat normal. They were just normal-esque people, I guess.
They were religious people at any rate. Certainly weren't wizards at the very least.
Mm-hmm.
Well, to quote Feral Historian, which I think is actually a really good description of them, they were like wandering cops mixed with a priest, which, if you consider the outfit that Luke wears in Return of the Jedi, it's a gunfighter outfit, dressed in black, and there's an indent at the top where a white collar for a priest would have gone. Which, just kind of makes sense. People thought this is probably what Jedi were wearing as a uniform.
Mm-hmm.
The wandering religious marshal here to bring law to the Wild West.
Yeah. And then they decided to make the uniform the desert attire of Tatooine for some reason.
Do be fair. Going back to Return of the Jedi, even Luke's outfit has a sash and kimono on top of that. So there is a little bit of precedence for that.
Fair. True.
And another thing to be fair about is Qui-Gon was the last true Jedi. He was the priest, law man.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of the council, Jedi Council, the army, and all that.
It is kind of interesting how very similar Qui-Gon and Luke Skywalker are. From Qui-Gon in Episode 1 and Luke are very similar from Return of the Jedi. It's kind of interesting to note.
That's by design.
Yeah. Alright, so I guess that's our answer. A bit long-winded, but yeah. Favorite worlds. We'll do the same order. Swords, myself, Koopa, and Tracer.
So, in the document, you said
limited to 3, yeah.
So, I'll go with Lothal, because I like because I like how spiritual it is. I like how it has a Jedi temple dedicated to the Temple Guard. It's my favorite faction of the Jedi.
Mm-hmm.
And just like Dave Filoni, I love wolves.
To an almost absurd degree.
Not that much. I don't... Dave...
He's not a furry. He's not right.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
Like, you are right that Dave Filoni loves wolves to an almost absurd degree, but I don't like them as much as Dave.
Right.
My second choice would be Naboo. I simply like the look of the planet. It gives... Not only is it very beautiful, it has this really... I know this is weird to say, but it has this really Hyrulean vibe to it.
It is.
Legend of Zelda.
A lot of the scenes there were filmed in Venice and various Italian cities, so that's a lot. You're seeing Renaissance architecture.
Yeah.
And for my final world, I'm going to choose Camino simply because I love the clones.
Alrighty. For me, I love the city world of Coruscant. Probably a bit of a weird one, but it there's just something about. I personally do not like cities, but there's something about a planet that is basically a city's just. I don't know. It just kind of appeals to me. Um, I also like. Give me a second. The world of Manon from KOTOR 1. Uh, it's a water world. It's a very nice planet. Plus, the game that sequence of the game was actually pretty fun. Like, so I have very fond memories of that. And Dantooine. That's another one of my favorite planets. Even though there was a massacre that took place in one of the recent books I read. God damn it. Natasi Dala. God damn it. But yeah, those are my three answers. Copa?
Yeah.
Your favorite worlds?
Coruscant, because it's a big metropolitan city and it's the world in all of the prequels.
Mm-hmm.
Forest Moon of Endor, because I like the Battle of Endor. I like Return of the Jedi. I like the Ewoks, and I like pissing off people who hate the Ewoks. Tatooine, because it's the quintessential Star Wars planet. It was in all 5 of the 6 movies.
Yeah, it's not in Empire. That's an interesting thing to note. All right. And Tracer.
So, first one would be Kashyyyk, because I like the Wookiees. All the maps, and I played all the Battlefronts back in the day. All the maps that we got for the Kashyyyk is just beautiful. They're just really well made maps. I like the topography, I like good jungle plants, etc. etc. Bespin, I love the architecture of Cloud City. I like that it's a floating city in the heavens. Again, going back to Battlefront, the original Battlefront that we got back in 2004, 3, I forget which year. Absolutely the best maps in the game. The Cloud City had great urban combat. The mining facility map, just really good sort of map opportunities you have. You could take a ship, fly to the other side, flank the enemy. You had lots of crossfire areas, kill zones. Just really solid maps. And last but not least, and this is an interesting one, Navarre from The Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett. It's volcanic. It's got an interesting look, but the most important thing about it is we see the planet grow. You really can't say that for any other planet in Star Wars. Because we see this thing go from a den of scum and criminals and bounty hunters to a respectable Wild West town that's just burgeoning, that's got the potential to become something grander and major.
I agree.
You don't really have that anywhere else.
Yeah. I agree, although I think Mandalorian doesn't do it enough, doesn't do it enough justice that it could be. I mean, we discussed this before, but I would have loved to seen the Bounty Hunter Guild become the planetary defense force of that planet, rather than just them being wiped out because reasons. But that's just me. Anything else you want to add to that, or?
Nah, that's about it.
Okay.
Also, rest in peace, Carl Weathers.
Yes, rest in peace, Carl Weathers.
Rest in peace, Carl Weathers.
Type of lightsaber. Lightsaber color and fighting style. Same order.
I would take the Crossguard from Rebels. Blue. And my fighting style would be Form 6, because I would go for a hybrid style of lightsaber combat and force abilities.
Basic bitch, blue lightsaber, fighting style that Obi-Wan uses.
No, Obi-Wan uses Form 3, which is highly defensive.
I'm saying for myself.
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
To briefly explain to the audience what we're talking about, lightsaber combat in the prequels was divided up by 7 distinct forms. You had Shicho, which was kind of the starter form meant for taking on groups of enemies. This is the form that we see with Kit Fisto. You have Form 2, which is Mikashi. It's classic fencing. It was actually developed by Christopher Lee. Obviously, Count Dooku uses it. Form 3 is Sarisu, which is the defensive form. Not really any offensive combat. It was originally built around blocking and deflecting blaster fire.
Yep.
Obi-Wan style. Form 4 was an evolution of Sarisu. It added in counterattacks. It's primarily based out of longsword and against katana fighting as well. This is Anakin Skywalker's fighting style as well as Darth Vader's.
That's actually wrong. Form 4 is the acrobatic ferocity form. Form 5 is the one you're thinking.
Right, yeah, Ataru, right. That's Ahsoka Tano and Yoda's fighting form.
Yep.
That's kind of, I guess you could say, a bit of Wushu inspired.
Mm-hmm.
Which is basically kind of the jack of all trades fighting form. The only character I can think of on screen that we saw this from was the Zabrak guy from the first Knights of the Old Republic, or
the old SWTOR. Yeah,
Yeah,
he's the
he
first
was the
on-screen
guy-
depiction of it. Yeah.
Yeah, he's the guy who was dual wielding both a single blade and a double blade lightsaber against the 2 Sith guys. And
And
as
he-
you saw, he kind of cycled through different actions, movings, and styles.
He did really well against those two.
The first character that people will probably know because they retconned him into being a master of Form 6 would be Revan.
It's not so much that they retconned him; it's just that he never had a defined system style because he, just was a video game character. And then Drew Karpyshyn was like, I think, considering he's a bit of a generalist, he'd probably be a Form 6 specialist. Drew Karpyshyn is the guy who wrote the Revan novel. For better or worse.
The last style is Form 7. This is technically 2. There is Juyo and Vapad. Juyo and Vapad are both aggression forms, and they actually require mastering all 6 other lightsaber forms in order to truly understand its concepts. Everything about it is offensive action. Juyo is obviously the fighting style we see with Darth Sidious and Darth Maul, and Vapad is famously used by Mace Windu and all of his students in science.
Well, they all fail, other than Mace, with it. The idea is that with Vapad, you can use the darkness that your opponent dishes out, and your own darkness, in a superconducting loop to basically keep pace with a Darksider. It is really dangerous to pull off, and only one person has ever done that, and that's Mace fucking Windu, because Sam Jackson.
Take a seat, young scout.
We kind of skipped over me. So, for me,
Sorry, go right ahead.
I would have basically Cal Kestis' lightsaber. That's a bit of a cheat because he has so many different types. Considering he has a single blade, he can saber staff, he can split it apart into 2 conjoined sabers, and of course he also adds a crossguard to it, because of course he does. Which is kind of funny considering I hate the new canon so much. The story of Cal Kestis is the only thing that I really like about it. And my fighting style would be Form 1, Form 3, Form 5, and Form 6. That's what I would go with. That's about it. Oh, and I would also carry a blaster as well.
Right. As for me, a little bit of detail about myself. I do practice a little bit of HEMA. I do sword fighting. Really, it's just kind of a hobby and it's a form of exercise. And due to my past with Marine Corps ROTC, as well as just stuff I do on the side, I am something of a marksman. I have experience with rifle shooting and pistol shooting. So a lot of that would sort of reflect into how I would approach combat. I would carry my lightsaber would be based off of a rapier. It would specifically have a basket hilt and guard to it, more than likely made out of either cortosis or more probably Beskar, just because that's easier to get your hands on.
You would need a Mandalorian to help you with that, though.
Yeah. Well, I am an insurance agent from Korea. I'm more than certain that they would be willing to give me a sum in order to cancel their debt.
Fair enough, fair enough.
Lightsaber color, yellow. I just like the look of yellow. Otherwise, it would probably be green. As for the fighting style, as implied by the rapier, it would be Magashi. It just makes the most sense. And the thing is, I would not use the lightsaber as my primary weapon. It's big, it's very obvious, and it's colorful, and I'm going to stand out like a sore loser. So every goon out there with a gun is going to start shooting at me. Instead, the lightsaber is only coming out as a backup weapon if I got to fight somebody else with a weapon like that.
Okay.
Otherwise, it would be Mikashi as the base. I have a little bit of Shien for blast deflection, and Nine Man because, well, as I kind of implied before, my primary weapon would be a gun. It would be either a slug thrower, because, fuck it, I want a 1911 in Star Wars, or it'd be a blaster. And I have that in my offhand, and I'd have the lightsaber in my dominant hand, and I'd use them interchangeably.
So you're basically saying you'd be a Jedi Paladin.
Yeah, basically.
Well, that actually sounds more like a rogue.
Okay, to explain what I meant, in the old lore, there was a sect of the Jedi called the Grey Paladins, who basically used other weapons other than lightsabers. In fact, many of them used weapons that they were comfortable with. So
that's why you describe them. They were Jedi Max Paynes. They were detectives.
Yes, yeah, pretty much. And they're actually kind of cool. Somebody hates them because reasons. Because Star Wars needs to be simple. Fuck off. Sorry, I get a little bitter whenever somebody derides the old expanded universe for bullshit reasons.
I think people are starting to realize the stupidity of that. That being said, the Paladins really do need a better name.
They really do.
Yeah.
The term Grey Paladins doesn't even fit them. But yeah. Yeah. Oh, one thing I would say is you saying that lightsaber would not be your main weapon. Obi-Wan shakes his head disapprovingly.
Obi-Wan,
So-
I don't give a damn.
What's up?
For all your civilized
Okay,
talk, I'm in the mud, the muck, and the mire dealing with people who don't give a damn about civility. They will shank me, they will blow me up, and they will probably shoot me from about 50 different angles. Screw that, I'm going to survive.
Yeah.
All that
I'll
mean-
use any and every method to do so.
All that means, Tracer, is you do not play the tank role.
No, I do not.
Meanwhile, I have like the most elaborate, over-engineered piece of equipment, and I have a blaster as well.
Yeah, let me know when your over fancy schmancy German engineered lightsaber breaks down. I'll have to fix it.
Yeah. Well, I have a blaster on my hip. I'm not stupid, you know.
Uncivilized.
I'd rather be uncivilized and alive than civilized and dead. All right.
What you two fail to realize that me and Koopa realize is gun blasters and lightsabers are good and all, but we don't need either. We have the greatest ally. that we could
Throwing
ever
your
want.
lightsaber at a guy's head and having to swirl through the air while using the force to bring it back.
Yeah, but Copa, you do realize that your lightsaber's now out of your hands and you're kind of open.
You know, I kind of,
Ones of the Force.
I do love the fact that Count Dooku's whole shtick about his fighting style is, this lightsaber never leaves my hand, and that's the attitude you really should have with that. All right, are we done with that, or do you want to keep going?
I believe you're done with that.
All right, favorite species limited to 3.
Wait, let's add an additional rule to make things harder for swordsmen. No humans.
No.
No humans.
Okay.
Yes, no humans. Go ahead.
It's Shawnee.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's a bit cheap considering they're near humans, but I'll allow it.
Hey. You said no humans. Chani are not human.
They technically kind of are, but I'll allow it. Keep going.
Then we have the Ewoks because they're cute, unlike other cute, markable mascots. They're horrifying, and you can make a horror game out of them, which is fun.
And you can call that horror game Blue Harvest.
Well, they just call it Ewok Hunt in Star Wars Battlefront 2.
You don't understand the joke, do you?
No.
Return.
I don't understand the reference.
Return
that
of the.
was that was the title Return of the Jedi was filmed under in order to get away from
The press.
being overcharged. Yeah, the press and being overcharged by the town they were filming in.
Mm-hmm.
As for the final race, I'm gonna probably butcher this. The Ortolan?
The Ortolans. Yeah, the Ortolans.
Ortolans.
The elephant people that Max Rebo from Jabba's palace.
They are
Act-
big elephants that just like to eat and play music. What more could you ask for?
I actually you're probably the first guy I've ever met that would ever say that species, and it's so funny because thanks to that, you're the reason why I looked up the species name. Why don't you go ahead, Koopa? I need to think about my answer real quick.
Okay, let's see. There's obvious first one is the Chiss.
That's the same boat as Ichani.
Okay, they're at least more different than the Ichani. They have red eyes and blue skin.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, fair enough.
The Chiss are fucking badass. Thrawn is fucking badass. Every Chiss character that's been introduced is a badass. I even almost ended up playing Old Republic as a Chiss bounty hunter.
And the handmaiden isn't?
Is the Handmaiden more badass than Thrawn?
Yes.
No.
We got a debate going.
No.
One of them brought the New Republic to its knees.
Yes, but that's purely through his mind, not actual combat capability.
Doesn't matter.
You're
He
saying
did it
that
without lifting a
strategic and
finger.
tactical thinking is not related to combat?
I didn't say that. I said
What
that.
is flesh compared to the will that commands it?
Thank you, False Doom. Thank you. I will give the Handmaiden this. She did play an instrumental role in the downfall of the Sith Triumvirate, so there's that.
Yes. I mean, she went against Darth Nihilus, which literally eats worlds, and can barely be called a person at this point.
Yep.
Freya, who is
A manipulator of... It's just a massive manipulator.
yes, even if she was suicidal, she still was trying to kill the Force outright.
Yeah.
And finally, the other guy who was her apprentice that no one remembers the name of.
Scion. It starts Scion.
like, like I do not understand why they keep having him as the image for the title screen when Kreia and Nihilus are far, far more impressive than he will ever be.
Yeah, it's whatever. Sorry, we kind of went off topic. Let's get back on topic.
Yep.
Koopa, continue.
Let's see. The Twi'leks, because they're the best waifu species in Star Wars. I don't know why. It's those weird head tail things. I have no idea why they look so attractive, but they just do. It just works. And would droids count as a race?
No.
No, because they don't have souls.
You're a monster. You saying R2-D2 does not have a soul?
Yes, it's a proven fact of the Star Wars universe.
Flesh is weak. Flesh is weak, Swordsman.
And yet we beat them back every time.
You are heretical to the machine spirit. I'm saying droids anyway. Fuck you guys.
Okay, fine, you can do that. Tracer, you want to go ahead?
Well, as I implied with my Kashyyyk answer during the planets, Wookiees. I love Wookiees. I love their culture. I love their look. I love the fact that they're basically big, lovable bears. And it also does kind of help that when I went to Galaxy's Edge, I got to hug Chewbacca.
Aww.
I'm sure he gets it all the time, but it's just kind of special to me. Other than that, and this is going to be a little controversial, Tuskens. I like Tusken Raiders. I'm a sucker for the Bedouins. I'm a sucker for Native Americans. And I just, like I said, I like kind of the complexity of their people and their culture. Yes, you got lots of bad ones in there. The Tuskens who tortured Anakin's mom deserve to be wiped out. There's no question about it. But as we saw in The Mandalorian, the Book of Boba Fett, not all of them are like that. Many of them just are simple folk who want to be left alone. And some of the best characters in Star Wars, Tahiri, Asherad Head, Sharad Head, they're all Tuskens. Either they were raised by the Tuskens, or they were Tuskens themselves.
Sharad Hat was not raised a Tusken. He was... It's basically the story of T-Bop, but told better.
And last but not least, to Grudens. Out of all the alien designs that came out of the prequels, they're just the most fascinating to me as an artist. It's like they took the Twi'lek and modified it significantly to the point that I'd actually say it's a better design, and the Twi'leks are already really well designed. Plus, one of my favorite characters in Star Wars, Shakti, is to Gruden, and, well, we all saw what she was wearing in The Force Unleashed.
Yes, she was. We saw what she wasn't wearing.
Yeah.
Sure.
Don't say that to her face, pal. She's probably one of the most dangerous women in the galaxy, and she has a Sarlacc as a pet.
Schrodinger's Jedi. That woman has died more than anyone else. Some of her deaths are quite...
reasons. I mean, going through all the ones, it literally boiled down to they needed a Jedi to die. So they just randomly picked her, and kept picking her, and kept picking her, until finally the canon death is the deleted scene where Anakin stabs her in the back because she was meditating, searching for darkness.
Oh, I hate that so much. It makes no sense.
Okay, I have a question. How do we know that is the canon death?
Because that's what is...
It was...
Go ahead, Tracer.
It's what's mentioned on Wikipedia, and the source of that came from some encyclopedia thing that got posted a couple of years ago. That being said, it's really dubious. So, for all we know, it's probably going to be retconned.
I hope it is, because that'd be like one of the few things I'd actually be happy is retconned.
Like, as far as I'm concerned, if it's not shown on, like, if it didn't make it in, as sad as I love, like, the Padme deleted scene where she's making the Rebel Alliance, stuff like that. If it didn't make it in, and it's not referenced in later George stuff or Dave Filoni stuff, then I'm not counting it.
To be fair, I think probably the reason why they went with that is because of the Yoda vision he had in the Clone Wars, which did show Shakti getting stabbed in the back with a blue lightsaber. That being said, that vision also showed Anakin fighting clone troopers with other Jedi.
Yeah.
Yep.
I hate that death idea so much, especially with the whole. Oh, she was meditating during Operation Nightfall. You mean to tell me that she didn't somehow sense the slaughter happening around her? Like, come on. Everything about that death is stupid. Go ahead.
If we go by the novelization, Anakin's first kill was literally the doorman. He stabbed him in the face. The moment he died, alarm bells would have been going.
Mm-hmm. I much prefer in Revenge of the Revenge of the Sith novel. Okay, to be fair, depending on whether or not it's I don't fucking care. If it makes sense, I'm going with that. The Jedi Temple was on lockdown. Anakin more or less opened the door during the confusion after he killed the doorman for the clones. That's how they got in so easily.
And that was changed to what's his name from Rebels?
The Grand Inquisitor.
The Grand Inquisitor.
Yeah, he betrayed the Temple Guard, poisoned them, so they died easy, and then open the doors and let Anakin in.
Not sure how I feel about that.
I prefer the version that's presented in the novel myself. I'd argue I don't know which version of Shakti's death is worse. The supposed canon one where she gets killed during meditation during a bloodbath where she honestly should have been aware of, or a fan with too much time story. To be fair, that's not canon, so it doesn't really matter. But still, that death was stupid. Alright, so my turn for species. So, Zeltrons. Do I need to explain why? Nogri. I really like the Nogri. They're just so cool because they're basically Wookiees with a bit more of a warrior streak to them, you know? So it's like, they're just great. Plus the fact that they're so heavily devoted to Vader and whatnot. Like, yeah, that I like that whole thing, especially their history, and the fact that during the Clone Wars, the battle between the Separatists and the Republic caused Honagar, their homeworld, to be polluted and destroyed. It was great. Everything about the Nogri I like. And my final species. What's a good one? I would have to say the basilisks. Dex from Dex's Diner.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The dragon.
Yeah. Those guys are nice. I like the 4 arms. They're massive. They're incredibly dangerous and powerful. Like, I would not want to be fighting that thing. And arguably, one of the best arcs from TCW is the Umbara arc. So, and that has a Basilisk Dark Jedi, like
Yeah.
the clones had to deal with. Although there should have been some more stuff included. Like, I argue that Order 66 should be known, but that kind of gets into the realm of other things. But whatever. It's better to hide something in place.
To make it really short for the audience, in Legends, Order 66 was an actual contingency order that was known to the Jedi and the rest of the Republic military. It made sense. A number of Jedi had gone to Dooku's side, so there was a serious danger that any one of these walking weapons of mass destruction could go rogue. If they went rogue, they had to be put down and stopped. And the Jedi didn't have a problem with this, because literally the order just before 66 was Order 65, which was the opposite. If the Chancellor was deemed unfit to run the Republic, he could be removed forcibly, and if necessary, lethal force from the clones could be authorized.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it just makes a lot more sense because it's hidden in plain sight. It's a piece of necessary military protocol that just got weaponized.
The only problem I have with Order 66 as it currently is now, other than the fact that it didn't cause a civil war, is the fact that there was no confirmation code. Like, in actual military procedure, from what I understand, when you have when you had to deploy a nuke, for example, you need authorization codes. So something like this would have required Palpatine to say an authorization code after saying execute Order 66. But that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, George is very loose when it comes to military protocol.
I can tell you why he didn't need to.
Why?
The emergency powers that Jar Jar gave him.
He would still need to do that to confirm his identity, though. Because in the old lore, when Order 66 was executed, there were clones who basically refused to follow the order because they thought it was a separatist plot to weaken the GAR. So,
Be how few they were.
Yeah, there weren't many of them, but the fact that was considered really that should have been considered, but like I said, it's neither here nor there.
As for me, my problem comes with the actual carrying out of Order 66 from Legends' point of view. I prefer the clones not, whether there were a few that question the order, most just carried it out in Legends.
For the
thinking like the clones are not really much characters in Legends. They're
because they don't have to be
tools. Yes, and that is inferior to Clone Wars and Rebels. I like the fact that the clones want to do this. I like the fact that the clones, once after the Empire era, a lot of them joined the Rebel Alliance, and that's part of the reason why the Rebel Alliance's army has military structure. I like that fact.
Okay, I think you are oversimplifying the clones and Legends a bit.
Alright, gentlemen, before we go into a 30-minute argument, let's get the rest of the questions done.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think I said my last species. So, favorite vehicle. You can pick a mass-produced vehicle or do a mass-produced vehicle and a unique vehicle, if you can think of one.
I'm not really a vehicle guy, but
I'll give him a minute, and I'll say mine.
I already have one, but I'll pick the Jedi Starfighter Delta because I like the paint job.
Specifically, the one from Episode 2.
Yep.
And any unique ones, or is that the only one you care to answer?
That's my only answer.
Okay. Go ahead, Koopa.
Give me a the T-65 X-wing starfighter and the Millennium Falcon. I am really really for the original trilogy era when it comes to the spaceships.
Okay. Even they're basically just held together by duct tape and glue, even though they're for some reason the rebellion.
The Death Star
I find
twice.
I kind of find it funny, kind of going off topic a little bit, that the rebellion starfighters are infinitely better than the Imperial Star.
You know why?
TIE. Why?
They have shields.
I know that, but the thing is, if you look at the original film, I'm sorry, I'll be quick. They have like a basically similar kill to death ratio, so it's like, you know,
You can actually blame RPGs for this.
Yeah.
They needed a balancing act. There were more TIE fighters. They came up with the idea that quantity versus quality.
yeah.
Makes sense because of the economy that the Empire was running.
I guess, but it's whatever. To be fair, they did have to come up with the Empire doesn't care for its troops, so, so
Palpatine is all about that spectacle.
I guess so. Funnily enough, though,
The TIE fighters in the TIE series starfighters in the hands of Jedi would be the most unstoppable things ever put into space.
yeah, funnily enough,
And what does Palpatine do? He wipes out all of the Jedi.
yeah,
Like an idiot.
funnily,
Well, I mean, look at it this way. You have the TIE fighter advanced in the hands of Vader, and he's kind of unstoppable.
oh yeah.
Indeed.
To be fair, in Legends, the TIE Fighters history it came into being actually during the Clone Wars, and it saw great success there, which is kind of interesting. But yeah, enough about that. Sorry, kind of went off on a tangent. Tracer, go ahead with your favorite vehicles.
So, in the spirit of Koopa selecting two, I'm going to add an additional one. First one is the Naboo Starfighter. It's just a beautiful piece of work. And out of all the spaceship designs, at least when it comes to the starfighters in Star Wars, it's the only one that really makes sense. The engine placement, the general silhouette of the ship, its low profile, and its gun placement. Everything about it just makes sense as a real-world fighter. You could buy this working in atmosphere, and you can buy it working in space. And I'm really happy that the Mandoverse brought it back with a silver paint job. It's just beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Second one, the LAT gunship, baby. It's the beautiful combination. It's the love child of a Blackhawk and a Hind. It's just wonderful.
All right.
And it is the reason why the last part of Attack of the Clones is, well, loved, even if the rest of the movie is not.
Yeah.
Talking about, I love when he talks about sand. How it's hot and it's rough and it gets everywhere.
Which is true. I live in a desert. It does get everywhere.
All right. So for me, the Dreadnought heavy cruiser, not to be confused with the Star Dreadnought, which is stuff like the Executor, but Dreadnought heavy cruiser is the same type of ship that is created, that was built for basically what composed of the Katana fleet. You know that one, Tracer. It's a great design. It just needs a few additional improvements, such as a hangar and a fighter complement, and you're pretty much golden. Those things are really good.
I would also change the name.
Yeah,
because you already have a starship classification known as the Dreadnought class, so
yeah.
Yeah.
Personally, I would go with the Assault Frigate Mark 1. Because then you have the Assault Frigate Mark 2, which basically looks like an upscale Dreadnought heavy cruiser with a bigger engine block. So, But that's neither here nor there. And for unique vehicles, the Outrider from Shadows of the Empire. It's basically another YT series ship, but it's distinct from the Millennium Falcon. I just like that ship. It's pretty good.
So the name you could actually give to the uh, um, the Dreadnought Heavy Cruiser. I actually had to go look this up because I wrote this down somewhere. Call it the Ridley class.
That
And
works.
for every new classification, the Ridley 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever, the Ridley class assault frigate. Or heavy cruiser or whatever.
Yeah. It's called a heavy cruiser, so I think it's a heavy cruiser. An Axis War College is weird. Okay, so that's vehicles done. Here's the next question. If you were a Jedi, which master would you want?
Obi-Wan Kenobi, and if I couldn't have him, Plo Koon.
Ron Coda, the most base Jedi to ever exist.
Oh, there's some debate coming there, boy.
Oh boy. Tracer, you want to say your favorite, your master?
Well, I'm last.
Oh yeah, okay. For me, if I'm in the Clone Wars era, it would be I would want Coda. But if I'm in any, if I'm in
The race.
if I'm in
Suffer
the
not the clone to live.
if I'm in the NJO period, I would probably want either Corran Horn or Luke Skywalker.
Speaking of the NJO, mine is Kyle motherfucking Katarn. He is the Chuck Norris of Star Wars. This is a man. This is a one-man army. He was a former mercenary. He was a former bounty hunter, and he was the original Rogue One. Motherfucker, you made a movie off of the opening prologue mission to Dark Forces when he single-handedly stormed a facility Wolfenstein style, killed everything, and stole the plans of the Death Star. I don't care. There was one piece of the Death Star plan. It is my canon version. He stole the Death Star plans by his lonesome. I mean, in all seriousness, here's the thing, though. Kyle Katarn is Ron Coda personified and perfected. I mean, in all seriousness, Coda Coda too, but Kyle just fits everything I'd want in a Jedi Master. He has experience outside of being a Jedi. He is a pragmatist. He is, well, kind of a commando in many senses. I mean, he carries a duffel bag full of guns and explosives and bombs. He's prepared for any and all situations. He has an incredibly pragmatic view of using the Force. He has fallen to the dark side a couple of times, but he's come back every single time. So he has experience with this. Well, he has a hot Asian. Well, they're not married, but let's just be honest. He has a hot Asian wife who doubles as his pilot.
He also has a energy shield on him.
Oh, one other thing. The coolest clone troopers to ever exist, the clone commandos, yeah, their armor is called the Katarn armor. He is so badass that they retroactively named the armor after him.
Despite the fact that he didn't exist at the time. The Katarn armor was named after Kyle Katarn, and then he was born. Before he was born.
Katarn threw a thermal detonator and killed 50 stormtroopers with it, and then the thermal detonator exploded.
Yes. Alright, so that's that. If you were a Sith, which master would you want?
I want to be a
Can
Sith.
I go?
You could go first, I guess.
Asherod motherfucking hats.
So you would want to be the apprentice of Darth Krayt?
Yo,
Why?
he's likely to kill me.
No! He very much will kill you. If you're not useful, or worse, he'll be like, I have no use for you as you are. So I'm just going to reprogram you instead.
I'd be useful. I bring him coffee every morning.
Kyle,
That's a use.
Darth Krayt does not care for any of his apprentices. I'm just letting you know that.
There is some debate about Talon.
Earth belongs to Darth Maul. The problem is they were born in different eras.
Yeah, thanks, George.
He was trying to fix that.
No.
He almost did.
No.
Thank
And then
God
he
I
ran
never
out of
got
money.
Thank God I never got to have post-development.
I'm so glad that never happened.
I'm not.
I am. I'm tired of retcons, pointless retcons. Anyway, so Darth Krayt for Koopa, I feel bad for you, man. I feel bad for you.
One of the most successful Sith Lords outside of Sidious.
And then Darth Red showed up and killed them all. Anyway, Tracer.
Mine would be Count Dooku. And I'm actually going to tie in the next question, in our list, which is what would be your dark side name, your Darth name. The character I would create specifically for this would be Darth Krieg. Now, yes, my name is Tracer Krieg. Yes, I got my start with the Death Corps Krieg. But there's a reason for this. The character in question would be an idealist. A former Jedi who fell in line with the ideology of Count Dooku, who believed that he was right. The Republic is flawed, broken, corrupt. The Jedi are little more than the attack dogs of an over-obese Senate that cares not for its people, but only for lining its pockets and those of its constituents. Damn them. Damn them all to hell. So he would leave, and he would join Count Dooku and become one of his acolytes. But as the war would drag on, as his name would imply, he would slowly but surely be dragged and drawn into the conflict until little of his humanity remained. He would become an entity known as Krieg, defined by war. For what else is there but the war? But
My friend, it has been said that I like fall. My friends, I like fall. No, my friends, I love fall. I'm not gonna do the whole thing.
You can.
I can, but we'd be here all night.
Mm-hmm.
and then the end of the war would come. Dooku lied dead. The Separatists were broken, shattered, and an empire arose. What the hell had it all been for? A galaxy to be replaced by an autocracy? To be ruled by those who had betrayed his vision? No more. He had lost so much in the Clone Wars. His family, friends, his world, purpose. He would disappear into the shadows, consumed by his guilt, by his rage, by the conflict that so nearly took his soul. And for many years he would be hunted by the Empire, one of the last of Dooku's acolytes. He was a threat that had to be snuffed out. But no matter how many Inquisitors they sent, no matter how many forces they would set loose on his tail, he'd elude them, or he'd kill them. Until one day, when news of the Empire had fallen, and the Death Star destroyed, a farm boy from Tatooine found him. And he converted him, and he brought him back into the new Jedi Order. Once a Jedi of the old, a traitor to his cause, now redeemed, and a shepherd of a new galaxy. However, he cannot forget all the misdeeds that he had done, so he will hold on to the name of Krieg. For while war may define him, war will not control him.
I'm just picturing you going, abandon reason, no only war. But yeah. And then the Vong invade, and you get dragged into that conflict.
Never changes.
It's kind of funny though, Darksider. So your basically whole plan is to become a Lightsaber again. It's like, okay, sure.
Hey, that is the benefit of working for Count Dooku. He's the least likely to kill you, and if you manage to survive the war, there's a very good chance that you could get found and redeemed by Luke freaking Skywalker.
I guess you just have to survive the Empire and everything. Yeah, you could probably do it. All right.
Tracer did his name. Can I do mine?
I was gonna say my Sith Master, and Sword still has his Sith Master. So originally my answer was going to be Darth Plagueis because Eternal Dominion over the Republic sounds nice, but after listening to Tracer, I decided, you know what? I'm just gonna go with the redemption story too. So I'm just gonna join Dooku. I'm gonna do Dooku instead.
I agree with a certain chosen one instead. I don't want to be a Sith, and if I am forced into becoming a Sith, I would see myself beyond redemption. So me and Vader would probably see eye to eye and hate ourselves. And really basically be two peas in a pod.
So you basically be Star Killer. Well, probably not Star Killer, but you'd be yeah. I'm just imagining you and Vader one day talking like, so how do you want to? So are we gonna commit a mutual suicide at some point? Maybe one day.
No, Master. We need to kill Palpatine first.
And then commit mutual suicide.
Yes.
Alright. So that's all our answers. Now let's move on to Darth names. We already know Tracers. Who wants to... Swords probably would... You go ahead.
You want to know why Crate wouldn't kill me?
Why?
Because my Sith name would be Darth Carnifex. I would be his butcher.
Okay, then.
You'd also be a Tyrannid.
So you're basically...
like it's a bad thing.
Alright. So, Krieg, what about you, Swords? What's your Darth name?
I don't really know the Darth's naming schemes because I don't really like the Sith, to be honest. So something meaning either obscure or repentant along those lines.
Darth Obscurus.
Darth Obscurus. Darth Repentia. Why would you recall yourself? That's nothing. That has nothing to do with evil. So,
I mean, if Revan can be brainwashed into it. He wasn't evil.
All Vitiate did was finalize what was going to happen.
Let's not talk about brainwashing in Revan and Vitiate.
Yeah.
My brain is so much happier not knowing those things exist.
Okay. For me, Darth. Probably Darth Malal. Yes, I know. I'm basically just Darth Malice.
Chaos God of Anti-Chaos.
Yes.
You be the Sith Lord of Anti-Sith.
Oh, I should have stole that.
I am a Sith who hunts other Sith. I'm Darth Red, but named better. Darth Malal.
I should have stole that.
Too bad, it's mine now. Darth Obscurus. Alright. So that's Darth names. Favorite film?
Episode 3.
Episode 6.
Not only is it the climax, but it has the best battles of the sexology. It has the best music. The sword play, like, even Shad, Diversity, had to admit that the swordplay was on point.
Yeah.
That's how good it is.
We need to rewatch Clone Wars Battle of Heroes.
The emotions, like, if you watch the whole series, bro, and I do mean the whole series, you get to that point, the emotions are sky high. And it's just it's like this really good roller coaster ride. Is the superior episode 5.
Okay.
Heretic.
So yeah, I mean, I can't disagree with you. I mean, it's a good film. It is. I do like certain aspects of episode 3. There are some flaws with it, as with all the prequels, but it's all right. It is your favorite.
Pray hard-boiled entertainment never finds this stream.
Oh, well, he can go fuck himself. So you know.
The prequels are flawless.
Indeed.
No, they're not. As somebody who likes them, they're heavily flawed. I do not.
I have. Yes.
You sit upon a throne of lies.
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 The only one who sits on a throne of lies is you two.
No, we sit on a throne of skulls. Skulls for
Your
skull
words
throne.
are little more than dust. For the legacy of these films is laid bare. Flawed, genius, broken, yet resolute. They are many things, but to deny the flaws in the gem is to deny the beauty that exists beyond it. Find balance within yourselves. Else, be found in nothing but extremes, and we all know where extremism leads.
I will grant you episode 2 is flawed.
All 3 of them are flawed, dude. It's fine to admit that. Like, Order 66 is fundamentally broken in and of itself.
I actually consider episode 3 to be a masterpiece.
It certainly is, but there is, like I said, problems.
Okay, let me ask you this. Would you say the OT has problems?
A few.
Okay.
Moving on.
Yes.
Move on.
My favorite film, Return of the Jedi.
Yes.
Yes, it's a really good film.
Fuck Kevin Smith. Happy ending is best ending.
The fact that he wanted to make Luke take the mantle of Vader, just like, why?
Why?
Completely misses the point.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's my answer. I think the rest of us had the same answer, so
I'll provide an additional. I grew up with the original trilogy. I was born in 1998. I was born in the era of the prequels, but the thing is, I was raised on the original trilogy first.
same.
The one movie that stood out the most to me was Return of the Jedi. It was the resolution. It was the culmination of everything that had come before. But the defining trait to it that stuck out to me even to this day was the character of Luke Skywalker. Luke is perhaps the most human character in the entire franchise. Fails. He goes through so much hardship, but the most important thing boiled down to this. He saw in his father the good that no one else would, and he was willing to die for his belief that he could be saved. He went on a suicide mission out of nothing but love for a man he had never known, but had the ideal of what he had once been. And he would be tempted by the devil himself. He would be enraged to the point that he would nearly strike down his father to protect his family, to protect his friends. But in that one moment, he saw the vision he had seen on Dagobah. He saw what he would become if he struck his father down. And like so many before, he had the strength to refuse. Throw away the lightsaber, stare the devil in the face and tell him, "No. You have failed, Your Highness. I am a Jedi, like my father before me."
So be it.
There is so much power in this scene that not many other movies have been able to replicate it. In fact, the only other one I can think of is Return of the King, with Aragorn when he charged into the armies of Mordor knowing certain death, but knowing he had to buy time for Frodo.
And if you add the... Speaking of that, if you include the extended cut, he thinks Frodo is dead because of the mouth of Sauron brought the ringed shirt. As far as he's concerned, it's hopeless, but he still does
Actually,
it.
he did say he didn't believe it, though.
He does say that, but you can kind of get the impression that maybe he does. But it's whatever. You can kind of interpret that scene however. It's a good scene. Whatever the case, it's great. But that's Lord of the Rings. Back to Star Wars.
But yeah, after that, my dad talked about that scene a lot when the movies came out and he watched it in the theaters, and how everybody just hoped and prayed for Vader. Do something. Do something. Save him. Save him! And then Palpatine gets thrown down a bottomless endless shaft, and if you thought that people cheered when Captain America got Thor's hammer, you didn't see this. You didn't hear the cacophony that ran across the world. As the greatest evil that people had known up until that point in fiction turned his back on it to save his son. It was the biblical redemption.
Yeah.
Put to screen. And then we get the ending. Perhaps the perfect ending you could have to the trilogy. The bad guys are gone, the good guys have won, and the future is bright. And it will always be bright.
Yeah. I will say this about Vader's redemption. Nowadays, people say, "Oh, People think that Vader didn't deserve redemption because how can one act redeem so much?" That's not what redemption is about. Redemption is about what's in your heart. And let's face it, if Vader did survive Episode 6, he would have gone on to do amazing stuff.
Yep. And plus, you can never earn redemption.
Mm-hmm. Not only that, but if you want a good idea for what the story of a redeemed Anakin Skywalker would look like had he survived, look up Shad's book, Shadow the Conqueror. That's basically what I kind of imagine it would be, without all the, the sex stuff.
Without the topics that would get this channel yeeted off of YouTube.
Yes. All right, so that's that. Anything else anybody wants to add? Or
I will add that our next question is going to be the easiest one.
Least favorite film.
I'll go first. Last Jedi. Next.
Last Jedi.
Last Jedi.
Wait. What are you guys talking about? There was only 6 films. And 1 spin-off.
Smartass.
Okay, so that's... If we're including all the Disney films, the Disney fan fiction, Last Jedi, it completely ruined it. It doesn't count as a film. It is so fundamentally broken. If you take the Star Wars label off of it, it's not
It doesn't work.
it doesn't work as a film. It just
It's literally being used in college film courses as an example of everything you're not supposed to do with a movie.
yeah.
The two Abrams films, like the first one, it was a complete rip-off of A New Hope, but there was something there at least. Even if it was the stupid mystery box.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think JJ put the mystery box there with the intention of there being nothing in it.
No.
So since I'm going to stick by my words, I do not consider the sequel trilogy to be part of Star Wars, and I'm going to stick by my words.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good
So-
for you.
And so I'm going to basically put myself in the shooting range. I'm
Uh-oh.
going to say that the worst film in the Star Wars sixology is Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back.
Everybody shame the
Not
swordsman.
because
Shame.
Everyone's hitting him for being so anal retentive. He can't just say Last Jedi and move on.
not because that it's a bad movie. I actually think it's a great movie. It's just, it's a bridge. It sets up the final movie.
To be fair, it does say favorite, so from that perspective, so I get it. It's not his favorite film, but everybody shamed the swordsman.
Everyone's saying. Shame bells in chat.
Look, if we had to consider original 6 movies, not any extra movies, not even things like the holiday special, it would have to be Attack of the Clones. That movie's just so disjointed that a lot of it is really painful. But the thing is, the one thing that bugs me the most is, we talked about this the other night. It's it's the rejection scene. Padme has been buttering Anakin up. She's been wearing increasingly revealing outfits. She has been increasingly flirting with him, increasingly ramping up his jealousy, and now she's wearing this really form-fitting black outfit complete with a black choker.
Yeah.
It's candlelight, there's fire going, and she can clearly tell this boy is fighting all of his urges. And what does she do? She says, you need to come back to reality. You need to stop dreaming these things. Like, why are you wearing all this then? If you're just gonna friend zone him.
It's simple. It's more like that she's telling herself that.
That's
Sorry,
stupid.
dude. When a woman don't want you, she's not gonna wear that.
It's not that she doesn't want Anakin. It's more along the lines that she knows that what she and Anakin want is wrong.
Then why
And-
in the hell is she wearing that to make it even harder?
Because she wants Anakin regardless.
Swords, your logic makes no goddamn sense.
I'm
Emotions are not logical.
Emotions are actually fairly logical when you understand the pattern associated with them. Look, the problem is that George tried too hard to make this movie like Empire Strikes Back, and it just fails in a lot of aspects. There's a reason why most people... Okay, what do people actually watch the most when it comes to Empire, when it comes to Attack of the Clones? They'll watch the beginning part because it's actually fairly entertaining. Then they'll just skip to Obi-Wan's parts. Then they'll skip to the very end with the arena fight and the Battle of Geonosis. That's it. The middle section with Anakin and Padme is not... It's some of the cringiest romance ever written, but everyone has complained about that, so I'm just going to leave that there.
There is one exception to that description.
the stuff on Tatooine.
The stuff on Tatooine, that's fair.
And everyone loves the sand scene.
They love it ironically.
Yeah, ironically.
What are you talking about? Sand is rough. It is coarse. It gets everywhere.
Oh, I don't doubt it. I've been to beaches. I know. But yeah, that would be my same. That would be the same answer for me. Attack of the Clones is probably my least favorite film of the sixology. What about you, Koopa?
I refuse to play Swordsman's game. It's Last Jedi. deal with it.
Okay.
Too bad it's not brave.
If you could write... Next question. If you could write a Star Wars... Your own Star Wars novel, what would it be about?
I would pick, after Rebels, I would take Commander Rex and Commander Wolf. Wolf would be my main character. And I would have them join the Rebel Alliance and basically focus on them, their time on the Rebel Alliance, ending on Endor.
You know, I'd actually read that. That does sound interesting.
Mm-hmm. My turn, or does anybody else want to go ahead of me?
Let's go. Let's stick to the order. So go
Okay.
ahead.
So, for me, I would do the story I would want to do is an anthology of the Bay Knight Rule of Two, from basically working backwards. So here's the kind of the premise. A member of the New Jedi Order is trying to study the Sith. And so he starts with Palpatine. Then he learns about his connection to Higo Damask. Then he learns about his connection to Regis Gnome, which is... Higo Damask is Darth Plagueis, by the way, everybody. And Regis Gnome was Plagueis' master, Darth Tenebris. And he would just basically go follow the paper trail all the way back to Bane. And... yeah, that's... and every time he just makes a discovery... we basically switch perspectives to like a flashback with the story of that particular Sith Lord.
That also sounds really interesting. I actually would read that.
Yeah, and I think my favorite one I would probably do is Darth Gravid, because Darth Gravid was one of the Bay Knight Sith. Because of him, the Sith's grand plan was actually delayed by a few centuries, because he tried to turn to the light, and he destroyed the Sith knowledge and whatnot. It was he basically set the Sith back by a lot. So yeah, that's my what my story would be.
All right, Kuba, go ahead. I'll be back in a few minutes.
Okay. My answer is really simple.
Right.
Literally anything between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope. We don't have nearly enough in that era.
The Dark Times are
The
unexplored.
Dark Times are very unexplored. We had Rebels. Rebels was pretty good until they rushed it. We had The Force Awakens
The Force Awakens.
Unleashed.
The Force Unleashed, my bad. Let's never make this mistake again. The Force Unleashed is the good thing. The Force Awakens is the not so good thing.
Mm-hmm.
The Force Unleashed, which was really, really good. And its sequel, which wasn't nearly as good.
Yeah.
Kind of rushed.
Yeah.
And left on a cliffhanger that never got resolved.
No, that was a shame. That would actually be another answer for me, but other than that,
Hello.
yeah, the Dark Times really are just unexplored. It's bookended. You had the Coruscant Knights at the beginning, and then you have the Force Unleashed at the end. So yeah. All right.
Mine is a little interesting. The fundamental problem with the Clone Wars period boils down to this. We are given a very small window from which to watch it. And that perspective is almost exclusively with the Jedi and the clones.
Yeah.
And they are a small part of this galactic spanning civil war. Make no mistake, this is a civil war. I mean, the Grand Army of the Republic. You can't get it any more on the nose. I mean, even the bad guys are technically called the Confederacy.
They were fighting for a lost cause. I can't.
Yeah.
Take that, Razor. you
Unfortunately,
dork.
that analogy means that Abraham Lincoln is Darth Sidious, and I don't like that.
I think a certain Arizonian would love that analogy. Even though
Shut up,
it's
Razor.
untrue, and he should be ashamed of himself for defending a group who went apeshit because they didn't have the right to keep human beings as
Yeah.
Georgia deserved to burn. You can't change my mind.
All right. Let's keep it down. Keep going, Tracer.
So, the clones were not the only part of the military. In fact, they were not even the main part of the military. They were the elite shock troopers.
Mhm.
I would set up a Band of Brothers style series of novels. Maybe even kind of in the style of Gaunt's Ghosts or Sharp's Rifles. That follows basically a group of PDF soldiers, planetary defense forces, that engage in the Clone Wars. There would be a civil war period on the planet between the Loyalists and the Rebels. And then we would follow these guys all the way through the war. And here's the interesting part. This would essentially turn into something similar to the Rainbow Division from World War I, or the 82nd Airborne, All-American. This would be a fighting force made up of PDF members from across the galaxy. Some of them will be Alderaanian. And we would follow the story of these guys all the way up to A New Hope, where some of the older Alderaanian security on the Tantive 4 would be main characters of this series. That's right. These guys who fought to protect the Republic would die to protect the dream of restoring it.
Yep.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Rogue One was dark.
I will say this. I do like that idea because a lot of the members of the rebellion were people who fought in the Clone Wars. And
Yeah, but it's part of why I like it as well.
yeah, and well, the fact that we only focus on the clones and the Jedi, don't get me wrong, I like the Jedi. The clones not so much, but I like that idea. I like that idea. We need to see more of the average man fighting in in that war, because quite frankly I'm sick and tired of the we can't raise an army. Like, why the hell not? You know?
The Imperial Army had to come from something.
Indeed. And for everybody wondering what the Imperial Army we mean by the Imperial Army, we don't mean the Imperial Stormtrooper Corps. The Stormtrooper Corps is
the guys who are driving the AT-ATs, the ATSTs, the Imperial Guard looking dudes from Solo and the Battle of Space Verdun. That's the Imperial Army.
Yep.
They're awesome, and they should have shown up more.
Yeah, the Stormtroopers are not the main fighting force of the Empire. They're Stormtroopers, which are basically shock troopers. All right, so that's everybody's answer. Which film has your favorite soundtrack?
Episode 3.
Episode
Followed by
3.
Episode 1.
Episode 3. Although I do like...
Episode 3 is... It's the magnum opus of John Williams' music.
Yeah.
Hands down.
I think in terms of order, though, my favorites would be Revenge of the Sith, not Empire Strikes Back, Phantom Menace, and Return of the Jedi. The Emperor's theme from Return of the Jedi is my favorite sound. Yeah, it's perfect. And you want to know something interesting about Episode 1? The ending music at the celebration music is a more upbeat, sped up version of the Emperor's theme. It's a subtle it's a subtle thing that
Talking about Victory Celebration, or are we talking about Yub Nub?
Victory Celebration from Episode 1.
Yub Nub,
Oh
Yub
my
Nub does
God.
not deserve to exist.
Yeah, the Victory
So back up a second. You're saying that whole music section from the end of Episode 1, when the Gungan, when
Voltan is handed the glowing orb thing, that music is a sped up version of the Emperor's theme.
Yep.
Yep, it's a subtle hint that something is very wrong.
Yep. It's supposed to mean that we lost. this is the beginning of a dark timeline.
Wow.
Yep.
I've never caught that.
It to be fair, I did not I learned about that later on, but it's like so it's really fascinating. So yeah, that's that. Do you collect figures?
I don't collect them, but I do have a few.
Mm-hmm.
Same here.
Same.
I don't collect Star Wars figures. I collect other kinds of figures, but not Star Wars.
Gotcha.
I got an Amiibo collection going.
In Europe.
Alright. Just one thing, since we are running on 2 hours here, let's just firebrand these last 3 questions.
Yeah.
Yeah,
In your opinion, what is the best thing about the EU?
that it exists.
The post-indoor period. Like, you have... Not only do you have Thrawn, you have the Vong. Like, the Vong are George's, without even intentionally trying to do so, they take George's design philosophy and create the perfect sequel villain.
Not to mention, for the Vong, I know a lot of people don't like them, but the Vong are, to me, what the Sith will end. Basically, it's a way of having the Sith without having the Sith, because to me, the Vong are. This is the Sith at the end. This is the Sith's end goal. This is their logical end. This is what they would become if they were not stopped by the Jedi all the time. But, okay, so that's your answer. My answer is, it's an expansive universe with all these interconnected pieces. And I love the attention to detail it had, and just how much passion went into it all. And how great and expansive it was. All the best things about that.
I'll actually add a bit onto your answer there as part of my answer. George Lucas established the EU with Splinter in the Mind's Eye.
Mm-hmm.
And there is... I have the book somewhere, it's probably in the box somewhere, but there is a foreword he wrote there. And I'm paraphrasing, but it basically boils down to this. He envisioned a universe beyond just his movies. He envisioned a universe so expansive, so rich, that you could dive into it and basically almost drown in it.
Mm-hmm.
But he felt like he couldn't do it. He couldn't make it. You know, he lacked the ability and the time and the effort because he was still in the process of making Empire Strikes Back. So he wanted to start the process with a well-renowned science fiction author, Alan Dean Foster. And he assigned him the project of creating the first piece of expanded material to start with. Now, admittedly, the novel was based off of a sort of backup script they had if they couldn't get Harrison Ford on board, so they'd basically make this instead of Empire. But that single book began a process of creating the most expansive universe known to fiction. No one else really comes close. Not even 40K, not even Lord of the Rings, who I'd say are kind of a distant second. Because there's just, like you said, there's so much passion to it, but it just builds upon the universe. You can have literally any kind of story you want in it, and it just would feel unique. You want Western, you've got The Mandalorian, you've got a detective series, you've got the Coruscant Nights series.
Mm-hmm.
It's literally the ultimate sandbox. And you have multiple eras to choose from thousands of years ago to hundreds of years into the future. It's just perfect. And it was also the first multimedia project that had really ever been attempted. So, if you really want to know the success of things like the MCU and what have you, it all goes back to Star Wars.
I will say this about Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings is a little bit more cohesive because it it was all done by one dude. So, so there's
That
that.
is fair.
Lord of the Rings is actually really impressive, but Star Wars is great too. Like,
And I think I can probably answer for all of us. That's the least favorite thing about the EU is it has a lot of cooks in the kitchen. For a long period of time, it lacked a lot of strong, coherent leadership. There's a lot of egos that played into it that can, at times, really bring down the EU's quality as a cohesive storyline.
At the very least, it's the source of what we separately dislike, the most about the EU.
Yeah.
and
Like,
your
for example, some people will dislike Dave Filoni for retconning the MMP. I personally despise Karen Travis for injecting her own, basically, agenda into the universe and taking what had already been a really fascinating race and twisting them to basically just be her mouthpiece against the Jedi and really organized religion in general. Yeah, organized religion has its serious problems. It does. But she basically wrote the Jedi to be callous, uncaring individuals. And the worst target of her agenda was Obi-Wan Kenobi, where he was described as a glory-seeking bloodhound.
wait, what?
Yeah. And mind you, this was supplementary material to the 2008 TCW series that she wrote this for.
To be fair, Obi-Wan does have some really baffling moments in the 2008 series, so
Yeah.
Yeah, Lola, that woman is... If she is injected into your franchise, she is going to derail it. She did it with Star Wars, she did it with Gears of War, and she did it with Halo. You want to know why the Halo 4 lore on is so hated? So baffling, so unlike what had come before Bungie? That's why. She is the architect of all of it.
yeah.
In other words, do not trust a woman named Karen.
Indeed.
Yes. I guess we're technically in the middle of, in your opinion, what is the worst thing about the EU? You already answered the question, Tracer, so... for me, the worst thing about it is what I said for the positive. Basically that, but the worst aspects of it. There is so much and whatnot. And yeah, you're gonna get inconsistencies no matter what you do. It's just kind of inevitable.
For me, we already touched upon this, but I really do not like the clone's portrayal in purely legend stuff.
And I'd argue that you oversimplify it a bit. But let's not get into that discussion. We don't want to be here for an half hour. Koopa, what about you?
Same as I said, it exists. All the good stuff from EU exists. All the bad stuff from EU exists.
Mm-hmm. And by the way,
I want to say because we're running on 2 hours.
By the way, when we say EU, we mean expanded universe, not the European Union. There's nothing good about the Union.
It's the Force Ride.
And for the last one question, what does Star Wars mean to you?
Wars among the stars.
Okay, fair enough.
Kind of corny. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Well, I probably got the longest answer here, so I'll go first. I'll try to be quick about it. I ironically sort of answered this question before when I explained why I liked Return of the Jedi so much. I like Lord of the Rings. My dad read the series to me as a kid. I love the movies associated with them. I'm obviously a voice actor for 40K. I love the franchise. I love the universe. But out of all of them, even Halo, which I've recently rediscovered by buying the Master Chief Collection, Star Wars is the thing I grew up on. It's something that shaped who I am, my stories, my thoughts, my philosophy, everything. It is the quintessential origin story, I would say, of my generation, and probably my dad's generation too. You know, if England had King Arthur, this is the West's origin story. Tale of,
evil supplanting a republic, but heroes rising to the occasion to bring it back.
Mm-hmm.
That's us. That's the West. That is us going through the fires of the Second World War. That is us facing down the communists for 60 years until they eventually crumbled. That's us. Even the story of the prequels, we are kind of living through that right now.
Hopefully it doesn't end the same way.
And no, I'm not saying Biden is Palpatine. Biden is nowhere near competent enough to be Palpatine.
Oh, I wasn't referring to him. I was just referring to in general,
Yeah. But, yeah. And I think that's kind of the reason why the people who ultimately want to tear down the West have done their damnedest to tear down Star Wars, because they recognize its importance. And that's the reason why people are so passionate about it. It is their dreams. Dreams are a part of us. They're what shape us, and no one likes having their dreams taken away from them.
Mm-hmm.
What is a dream but the soul of society?
Yeah. You swords?
For me, and it will sound kind of corny, but I view it as how love affects you. We see that the Jedi, because they grew fearful of attachments, of love, and all that, they literally just handed the Messiah to the devil. And the Republic and themselves were destroyed as a result. But as you said earlier, despite being warned by his friends, despite being warned by his mentors, despite his better judgment, Luke decided to do a suicide mission, and out of love for his father, reached out to him, and that love was returned, and Palpatine was thrown into the Death Star, saving the galaxy, and ending the movies. I mean, you don't really see that kind of portrayal. Usually, love is romantic in nature.
Yeah, love doesn't need to be that way. Not all the time. Sometimes it's better when it's not. What does Star Wars mean to me? Honestly, it's basically the same as Tracer. I grew up with this series. I grew up on the original trilogy. Luke was my favorite character. Return of the Jedi, I like that story a lot. And yeah, Star Wars, I keep coming back to it, even in the state it's currently in, which is honestly breaks my heart. I can still go back to the old stuff and be like, yep, this is why I love the series so much. This has informed basically a lot of what I like about this stuff. So yeah, that's my answer. And that's it. That is the Star Wars Questionnaire. We have been going on for a while. So yeah. That was a good one. I don't know when we're gonna do when we'll do another one. Obviously not gonna do this topic again, but I hope to do more stuff like this. Podcast stuff. Yeah. Well, let's all sign off. I've been Squasher.
I'm the Cooperman.
I'm the Swordsman.
And I'm
Sorry.
Tracer. Auf Wiedersehen, my brother.
Goodbye, everyone. Have a good night.
Good night. See you next
Good night.
week, all